Well, welcome to the journey. My name is Kevin Polky, and I am the host of the journey. And as many of you know, the journey is a show that talks about stories of transformation, stories of individuals who may have had setbacks, and there was an opportunity because of that setback that they could reflect on that, and they had an opportunity to transform as a result of that setback, and then they share um, their thoughts and ideas about what they learned in that process of transformation. And other times there will be an opportunity for me to do a reflection on something that maybe that I might be meditating on, something that um, I may have witnessed or been experiencing or exposed to. Today, I am going to talk about what has seemed to be has grown into one of the largest sporting events that we celebrate, specifically here in the United States, but may also in other parts of the world. I think without a doubt, we're in the midst of the Winter Olympics right now, that every 4 years we have an opportunity to see these international athletes come together to represent their country, as well as the commitment to their particular sport that they have trained their entire life up to this point for. But I think uh, because of the Olympics being carried over, almost a 2 week time period. I think it's 16 days for the Summer and Winter Olympics, and then other uh, championships such as the NBA and the NHL and the Major Baseball League. That there is a series, so it isn't just one game. That I think there is something that is unique about football. Now, I may be biased because football is the one sport that I probably know the most about, because I've spent more time playing that sport, as well as years later having the opportunity to coach that sport and then watch my nephew and son also play in that sport. But I do think there's something unique about a football championship other than those other the other sports that I mentioned, because most of those other sports, similar to the Olympics, it's not just one 3 or 4 hour block of time where we can come together to watch from the beginning to the end this contest in which someone is deemed a winner and then a world champion. I think over time, what has also happened is that what used to be in America baseball was America's pastime. I think football has taken over that, and I'm not 100% sure why that is. Why football has become more the focal point of where we, as fans, where we gravitate more toward. Maybe it's because the season, there's not as many games, so there is more of an opportunity to come together to celebrate that one. Or maybe because there is more of an emphasis that every game um, plays a greater factor in if they're going to make the postseason, and then uh, then the postseason ends up being a second season in itself. Recently, the we had the opportunity to witness the 56th Super Bowl. It happened to be in the same stadium, or at least the same city, as the first Super Bowl was, when Green Bay played against the Kansas City Chiefs. This particular contest was between the Los Angeles Rams and the Cincinnati Bengals. The series, the playoff series that led to this particular game and these two teams playing against each other in itself was also part of the story. They were by far some of the best, closest, evenly matched playoff games that I have recall ever observing and witnessing. That in itself, there were stories that were tied within the two teams of the Cincinnati Bengals had never won a Super Bowl, though had been there, I believe, three, or this was their third time, that they had gone from this rags to riches where they had been at the bottom of um, the league. And now with their second year quarterback and star receiver, Burrows was their quarterback for the second year, and Chase, their wide receiver, that they had this amazing offense along with their running backs, and and their defense had appeared to becoming stronger and stronger. The Los Angeles Rams had made a major change in their quarterback, swapping quarterbacks from Detroit Lion and LA, and so the quarterbacks swapped. There was other individuals that came on to the Los Angeles Rams this season that seemed to be a big part of why they were being successful. What was interesting is that at our house, typically the game starts at 5:30, and people start arriving at our house for the celebration. There's conversation, maybe less about the game and more about just being able to be together. There's food and there's laughter and there's fun and there's opportunities to watch the Super Bowl commercials as well as the halftime entertainment. I recognize, having played for as many years as I have and coached for as many years as I have, that sport, football being one of those sports, is that it is just a game. That it doesn't really matter who wins or loses a year from now. All that will be just in the history books. But what happens on the field, what happens prior to them coming to the field, how they perform on the field, that may be something that could be lifelong. Yes, for many of us, it's could be entertainment or just an opportunity for us to come together with our family. It's the only sporting event that we, outside of if one of us are playing in a sport, it's the only time that we all come together to watch a game. Again, not everyone is necessarily a football fan, but it is more about being able to use this as an excuse for the family and friends to come together. I think for me, that is probably more so the point, is that utilizing this particular sport, this particular activity for family and friends to come together and share a moment. Well, in this case, 4 to 5 hours of moments. Again, at the end, it mattered less who won. And this particular Super Bowl, in my mind, lived up to the competitiveness of the playoffs that led to these two conference championship winners to come head to head with each other. That you could see that at any given moment, the other team would be able to spring into the lead. That both teams, both players should be able to look at themselves in the mirror and know that they were champions. Yes, it's a finite game. And so there was only one deemed a champion or a Super Bowl world champion. But everyone that was playing definitely showed that championship spirit. As we know that they are some of the top athletes, even the one that didn't get to play even reach the field, are still some of the top individuals in their particular profession. I think for me, being able to pause and use a finite game such as football as an excuse, as the reason for all of us coming together, from a family, from a friend, for a few hours, maybe a country, maybe even more than just the United States, came together to watch this particular activity, that the outcome was less important than it was actually the journey to the end. That from a standpoint of some older artists being able to be the entertainment for halftime and done in a very professional and classy way, to individuals being able to compete at their highest level, and for us to be able to come together to just be able to be together and enjoy that. I think that is really the point, or one of the points, of sports. As we wrap up uh, this particular season, as we move into the next seasons of sport, um, recognizing that it's more than just watching these male and female athletes who've trained and put so much energy into it, that it's also for us to be able to collectively come together. And there's opportunities to learn about ourselves, to push ourselves, to think outside the box and be innovative, to discipline ourselves. That all these things are part of what sport can do for us. Again, it's really important for us to remember that in a finite game, one may be deemed a winner or one may be deemed a loser, but that is only based upon that particular finite game. It is not necessarily to define them in their whole in life. It's more about what do they learn that they can then take on to give back to others. As always, I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you sharing this with someone that may also need to hear it. And always look forward to being with you and spending some time to share some thoughts, and look forward to seeing you again next week.